Well, many Australians over the past few days, may well be you or someone you know, has received a letter or an email basically from their accountant saying, oh, by the way, you've got to get a digital identity, a director's digital ID by next Wednesday, November 30th, or you could be fined $1 million. Really? Yes. An act was introduced this year into the Australian Parliament which requires Australian company directors, which could be basically any small company, self-managed super funds and so on, everyday Australians, to obtain a director identification number, 15-digit digital thing, which the government claims is to avoid illegal activity, company activity. We didn't need one before, but apparently we need one now. You have to give all your passport details, your Medicare details, your driver's license, your home, your address, your phone. Everything gets onto one ID number, one long number. Now, as we know, as I mentioned before, the two things that disturb me greatly about this is first, why are they insisting on $1 million fine? I mean, that is terrifying. You don't fine people $1 million for no reason at all. This is to scare the bejesus out of people to make them sign up to this thing or to force them to. Directors of companies, as you say, can be anybody from a small business company to someone doing some local charity work who's now suddenly has to have everything of theirs on this global digital platform. This is globalism out of control. Now, what really terrifies me, Andrea, and the reality is the Chinese social credit system, where they monitor what you're doing, if you say something that displeases the government, is already in action in countries like Canada, where they will fine people who protest or dissent against COVID, for example. This gives the government total control over every Australian who is a director of a company. And this is how a social credit system begins. You cannot have a Chinese social credit system without this digital passport for every single Australian business person.
This hasn't happened overnight. This has been in China. Asian countries have implemented this at different paces. Also, European countries are implementing this at different paces. Also, states within the United States are implementing this at different speed and paces, so people don't really realize it. All of a sudden, you go to certain states, especially blue states, and stuff that used to be easy to access and you could pay cash for, you now can't. You have to use your digital payment form. Sometimes you can't even use a card. They actually require for you to scan it with your phone. If you don't have a wallet on your phone, you can't purchase products anymore. So this is becoming something very, very present. It's not in the distant future, and we need to really pay attention to it. Now, there has been a progression to this, and they have gotten emboldened by our behavior over the last 2 or 3 years.
COVID-19 was a test of social responsibility. A huge number of unimaginable restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world. There were numerous examples globally of maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, mass vaccinations, and acceptance of contract tracing applications for public health, which demonstrated the core of individual social responsibility. That's the WF's words. And why wouldn't they be encouraged by that? I mean, the world accepted unimaginable restrictions with nary a whimper. Just imagine how that is going to embolden their next PSYOPs projects as they attempt to enslave us all.
What are the solutions moving forward? We have pledged for 2022 to present a lot of information about artificial intelligence, about transhumanism, about the digital revolution, the fourth industrial revolution. This is really important because so many people that use the digital products in front of us, whether that's the phones or the internet itself, computers, social media, and all of these gadgets, are digitally not very literate. They haven't really paid attention to where this journey is going. They're just enjoying the easy access to it. But this journey was always going to an endpoint where everything is completely centralized and controlled. So our first job is to become literate, is to become knowledgeable. So you need to do your own research. You need to study this agenda because it's $1 trillion agenda. There's so much money invested in this. And the people, the companies, the entities pushing for this, they are all but certain that this is the future. We aren't. We're speaking about a natural and authentic future. So the second thing that you do, you need to draw a hard line in the sand as to what your digital cutoff will be. For us, we've said we will never comply with digital ID to use the internet, for example. We will never have any sort of interface that is inserted into our bodies. We will not do any of that. We will not do any chips. We will not do any nanotechnology. We won't do any of that. We have a hard cutoff. We actually believe that within the next years, we might be, because of that hard cutoff, forced to leave the internet altogether. So we're slowly decreasing our tech usage. We don't have smart appliances at home. We refuse to use stuff like that. We actually turn off things that are similar to that. We don't have Alexa or Google Echo or any of that stuff. Nothing is listening. We unplug stuff, and we're really re-educating ourselves in more natural ways. We spend a lot of time outside. We plant gardens. We are working with people like Jim Gale and Food Forest Abundance for a real revolution for self-sufficiency, self-reliance, personal responsibility. But here's the thing. If you will want to continue participating in this digital society in the future, you will have to either comply with it, or you will have to also cut yourself off from this technology in many ways. We see this as a temporary tool that we can use, and we use it and we enjoy using it because we have the effect of reaching a lot of people. However, we also realize it is temporary and we will have to withdraw. There is the perspective that we can use all this technology for good as well. I beg to differ. If this were true, if ultimately technology was the way, then we wouldn't have had all these cataclysms, all these downfalls of past highly advanced technological societies. But that is the case. Evidence shows it, that all the past civilizations have vanished, and all they had in common was highly advanced technology. Also, I believe that the communication we have with other species that are highly advanced always shows that they regret certain steps that they took in the past, where they got so technologized, if that's even a word, I don't know, where they got so infused with technology that they have lost what made them inherently natural, biological, authentic beings. So I think we need to study this. This is the implementation of the social credit system. This has already been tested on people and tested on companies and tested on movements in a way where they were debanked, deplatformed, their licenses stripped of them, and all because they didn't comply with the projected behavior by the authorities. So I think it's really important we get educated. It's really important that we create local communities. It's really important that we talk to each other in the real world, and that we lay down technology as much as possible and use our own capabilities and faculties. Use our own brain. Don't use a calculator for simple problems. Start using it more, write more by hand, do more things that are authentic, biological, and not disturbed by technology.